Well, howdy, Bill.
Welcome, Patrick.
How are you?
I'm doing well. You and I haven't seen each other since the PA Cup, I believe.
That
Was
is
the
correct.
last time you and I were in the same geographical location. And today we've got some interesting stories and news from the PA Cup, which I really found to be really entertaining. But you know, we've got some guests today on this episode of the Airgun Geeks that I think are really special. One of them not only has been a friend of the podcast for a long time, but he is also one of our sponsors for 2024. And he has made it possible for you and I to do all that we do in traveling around the airgun circuit and bringing people the stories of the airgun world. And I'm very thankful to Tom and High Pressure Pneumatics for that. And I want to look at his contribution with you because you've been talking to him about some of the stuff he's been doing more recently. But I got a chance to catch up with him at the PA Cup, and he and I got to squirrel away some time. And I will automatically apologize for the audio quality on the recording. It has some holes in it because AI is only so good at making up for the guy that forgot the dead cats for his microphones.
It happens.
And got plagued with a bunch of wind while trying to record that. But I did clean up the audio, and it is definitely passable and usable. So you know, forgive me for that. But the other one that we've got to share is a guy who is just epic in the airgun world. First became famous for his mods to the Gauntlet, and now has moved on to the Notos to have an impact on that. I'm not going to say his name yet. I'm going to wait until we introduce his video to tell you who that is. But my point here is make sure you watch this episode all the way through, or listen to this episode all the way through, because it's going to be a humdinger. It's going to be a really killer episode of the Airgun Geeks. And I'm really happy that I was able to make it happen. And if you haven't seen it yet, do go watch the video that I was able to do with Tom Gaylord. That is out on both the Airgun Geeks channel and also the Target Forge channel, so you can watch it at either place. And do give us a like and a comment on that video, because that really helps us with our exposure. Not that Pat should ever be exposed.
Just a little bit of exposure.
Oh, okay. All right. But yeah, that was our guest for today. And now, Pat, you actually were entered into the PA Cup this year, and you struggled a little bit this year. You didn't do as well at the PA Cup as you did at RMAC in previous years. So, kind of real quick, walk us through what happened there.
So, as everyone knows, this was the first year that I went to the electronic gun side of air gunning, and I was playing around with a Daystate Red Wolf, but the blue stock, so the midnight stock, and in 22 high power. And well, I've discovered 22 at 100 yards, if you don't have really, really good conditions like Dusty Powers had a few years back, that one grabs that pellet, and it's just like, oh. So RMAC was fun, but Pyramid Air had a totally different, as we all know, different scenario. And
I'd like to pause you there, because in bench rest, something else happened that knocked you out of contention for bench rest.
Well, that's what I was saying. I was getting. I shot really good on my neighbor's card.
Oh, so you were doing the whole love your neighbor.
Love your neighbor.
I
was paying it forward. And the funny side of it, if we weren't honest airgun competitors, and I won't say who it was, but it was one of the Air Force team members, I shot better than he did. And he's like, I should have left your shots there. uh, wind was good and they were going in the X's and it wasn't my card. He's like, there's holes that aren't mine. But he was shooting a 25. So
All
I
right.
said, oh,
So we chalk that up to a
yeah,
rookie mistake.
rookie mistake, not a rear monopod, not a rear support. I was just winging it a little bit.
Okay.
But overall, I shot good, but on the wrong card.
Now, to go back to the RMAC discussion, you've done really well at speed shooting with some of the darndest guns imaginable. Not guns that I personally would have picked to go to a speed shooting event with, but you did it and you did well at RMAC. You made it to the finals the last time I was there with you, but that didn't happen at the PA Cup. What happened to Gunslinger?
I was paired next to a machine gun, also known as Thane Simmons, with that infamous pump style 28 round impact that he has. And well, I'm fast, but he's a heck of a lot faster with that thing. And he was also shooting a lot faster. He was right, I think he was right around 920, 940 feet per second with his, and just a lot like Hatfield in our Mac, just machine guns. I would have probably been more competitive this year if I would have done the Leshy, but the Leshy has an 8-shot capacity, so in the long run,
yeah, having to come out of battery,
yeah,
literally break the gun in half to do a mag change, put it back together, get back into battery. You've already given up the race at that point. But
yeah,
the one thing that really stuck out to me at this PA Cup was really what happened in Gunslinger for Springers.
yep.
To me personally, and this is very much a personal feeling on this topic, and it may resonate with other people as well, but to watch what transpired at PA Cup 2024 in the Springer division was so unique to me. It is one of the highlights of any airgun competition I've ever been to. And the reason I say that is because, first of all, speed shooting with a Springer seems counterintuitive. I mean, you got all this claptrap. You've literally got to cock the gun, 40 pounds of effort each time, put it back into battery, shoot, do it all over again. You're loading each shot independently. So the chances for losing a finger or a hand while you're cocking these giant Springers, I say that it's not, they're not unsafe, but it's a lot of physical motion to get that gun going. And some of the people who stood out at doing that, one was Ryan Spangle. He in the opening volley was the only one that cleared all of his targets within the 5-minute time slot. And to put this in perspective for everyone, when they're doing the first couple of rounds of Gunslinger, there is a 5-minute limit on clearing all of your targets. And there's typically more targets than most people can clear within that 5 minutes. Ryan absolutely dominated and cleared them all.
With time left over.
And he was the only one that did it before the time ran out. So that was notable. And he was amazing to watch. He was shooting from the bench. He was shooting it more traditional, like most people shoot Springers. And then all of this drama is kind of building up because there's one guy who got a bye in one of the early rounds, and you didn't really get to see him. But that guy was Cameron Current. And Cameron is the current world champion, not U.S. champion. He is the world champion for field target Springer class. This guy is no joke. And he is also somebody that I get to shoot with quite frequently out here in California. because he shoots at the 2 clubs that I shoot at here. So he can be very humbling to I don't shoot the World Field Target WTF is it WTF? WFT. Yeah, WTF I guess is a different connotation. But Cameron is he's an absolutely brilliant gentleman to sit and have a conversation with. But to sit there and watch him shoot a speed event and do everything the way he does it when he shoots field target, to me was astonishing to see him do that. And then to see him absolutely dominate in that effort was astonishing to me, because if you've ever watched field target or shot field target, it's not a speed event. They actually have time rules to keep people from lollygagging and taking too long. You got a 2-minute timer typically in a lot of matches. Not really enforced much at the club level, but when you get into the bigger events, it's a big deal. Like, hey, did you get your 2 shots done in 2 minutes? Because the rest of the guys are waiting. So speed shooting for a field target guy is not really what you would think you're going to see. But there's Cameron sitting on his butt with the dead man stance, right? He's sitting down, he's slumped forward, his whole body is at rest, and he's literally working that TX200 and absolutely putting on a show for how speed can be done with a Springer. And, you and I had this conversation earlier where, I'm sure it was a combination between the fluidity of his motions from having shot and practiced so much for a field target. Every motion that he does is the absolute minimum amount required, because when you're shooting at level, you're wasting a lot of time if you're not doing that. So that's one part of what made him a winning shooter, in my opinion. The other part was his incredible accuracy. This is a guy who has shown that he's more accurate than everyone else with a Springer on the planet. And it leads to credence for the statement that you can't miss fast enough to win. If you're hitting, it doesn't matter if you're not the quickest, because if you're hitting, those stack up and those end up with a win. And Cameron did that, and a big congratulations to him from the Airgun Geeks for having put on a show that absolutely got this old man really jazzed. I thought that was, to me, the highlight from the whole PA Cup. And some may think, really, the highlight was Springer Gunslinger. I'm like, I guess you just got to understand. You had to be there. And a big hats off to the entire PA Cup staff for putting on a great event and a great show, and also sending me home with some really great gifts. I hit the prize table pretty good, and Pat, you were kind enough to ship those items back to me because you had a little more time in Ohio than I did. But yeah. So we've got our first guest today is, again, he's a guy who is not only a fantastic pillar in the airgun community, but he's also a sponsor for the Airgun Geeks. And we want to thank Tom for his time at the Cup, granting us this interview. And Pat, you tell us, are you ready to run that?
I'm ready.
All right, let's go. Airgun fans, I've got the incomparable Tom here from High Pressure Pneumatics up in Michigan. And, Tom, I actually wanted to come see you last winter, but our schedules didn't quite line up. And I didn't get to see one of the most amazing brick and mortars in the airgun world. So tell our fans kind of what High Pressure Pneumatics is all about, and what some of the things that you provide to your customers.
Well, we're a full service, as best as we can with the brands we carry. We carry a selection. We're not just a one vendor house. We carry things from the Avengers, Avengex, Gauntlets, FX, Daystate, Brocock, AGT, just to name a few. I know I'm probably Air Force. We're trying to always mix that up. Sometimes you'll see us off stock for a little bit on a given brand. We'll bring it back through, but we do our best to keep that up.
Sounds like you've got a nice spectrum of affordable and
Right.
you know, more elegant choices
Right.
offered in the air gun.
Not everybody wants to come in and spend $2,000 plus on an air rifle.
Yeah.
They want to test the waters.
Yeah.
So they want something that's $250, $300, $400, $500 to get in to see if they're going to like this. And as most of us know, as already air gunners, we know they're going to like it. They're coming back.
Right.
But you know, we try to, on our higher end guns, our FXs, our Daystates, our Brococks and such, we shoot them, get a 50-yard test target outside, provide a chronograph report, and leak test it for 48 hours.
Wow.
So we're comfortable that when they go out, you're getting a gun ready to go.
So all of that work is done before it's put in the box and sent to the client.
Correct. Yeah, we just don't pull Avengers and the Gauntlet stuff. We at least get air into them, make sure they're not leaking, and we'll send them out that way. We don't generally do the test target and stuff on those, but if a customer requests, can you test it for me? We'll gladly do it.
Yeah. So that, you know, being able to, you know, be at a size that you are, that you can offer that personal touch, that's pretty special. But I think, you know, you not only do you sell online, but you've also got a brick and mortar store that people can walk into, and that's
They can walk into, they can feel the gun, shoulder it. We got a little enclosed shooting shack, we refer to it as, 2 benches, fully insulated, so we can keep it warm in the winter, cool in the summer. We can shoot it away from the yards. So if a customer buys a gun or wants to test one out, what's this like, they can go out and shoot it, and they know. And they can shoot it out, because most guys are new in air gunners, new to air gunning. They'll pull that trigger, and their eyes get about that big around. They look at, are you kidding me? No?
Yeah. This is what you guys have had all this time, and nobody told me it was this cool.
Yep.
That's awesome. So, you know, I know, you know, when you're looking at air guns and you're online and you're thinking, oh, it's a big spend.
Yep.
And I don't even get to feel it in my hand before I pull the trigger, literally. That's pretty cool to have a brick and mortar in your neighborhood that you can go touch and feel and probably even use. You probably have some demo units. That's
and the ones we demo don't go out as new.
Right.
Yeah, if they were on the shelf and had a scope and they've been shot outside of our test targets and they've been demoed to a customer, I don't send those out as new. Those go out as a demo, discounted accordingly, and through. And we've had customers drive upwards of 8 hours to come to us because they know we got a selection. And I've got enough guys working with me now. All of them are shooters.
Excellent.
All of them have a good background and stuff, so they can talk the air gun and know the air gun, so they can explain to you. And they've all shot all the air guns, so they can kind of give you firsthand experience of what they're like. So
yeah, you probably got a nice cross section of fanboys.
Yep.
Oh, you want to talk about Avengex? Here, talk to this guy.
So
that's cool. That is so cool. I know, you know, when I'm going around the country, one of the first things I'm doing when I arrive in a new city is, okay, is there any airgun shops here near me that I can get to on my rental car? But yeah, it's good to see those ranks growing, because there has been kind of a bit of an expansion post-pandemic of the brick and mortar, and that's kind of cool, because I'm seeing in other sectors of retail, we're seeing a contraction in those, and so it's really good that you guys are keeping the torch alive. And more importantly, Airgun Geeks fans, this guy is a sponsor of the Airgun Geeks for 2024, and hopefully 2025. Hopefully we convince him to pay us again to do this.
We'll do it again for sure.
Excellent. And has it been good for you?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yep.
Excellent.
And we've done some things too as we grow, the growing pains of all businesses. You'll see on our website there's a little app widget called Podium, so you can text us on it. You can call us, that's our phone number, but you can text us. And I have our social media guy, Dan Carpenter, he's in Vermont. He helps respond to those. So outside of business hours, we may not answer the phone, but a lot of times we'll respond to that text. And I've even went out of my way, when we're not open, if I had the time. It's easier to tell somebody over the phone, explain something versus a text. So a lot of times we got the time outside of hours, we'll try to call too when we can.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Tom, thank you not only as a sponsor, but thank you as a contributor to the Airgun community that we all love. It is so awesome to have people like you involved in this niche of a niche of a niche. It's good to have positivity.
Yep, and it's great for what you guys do for the airgun community too. And you guys are honest about things. You know, you're not sugarcoating things, and it's great to see. So
I get in a lot of trouble for that, believe me. All right. Well, Tom, thank you very much.
all right, thank you, Bill.
Is there anything else you want to share with our fans before we go?
No, we appreciate everybody that's already supporting us. If you haven't tried us out yet, take a look at us. Customer service is free to give, but it costs you everything if you don't give it. So
Yeah.
we pride ourselves on trying to do the best we can for our customers, taking care of our customers. We try to ship as fast as we can. A lot of times it's the same day you order, unless you order over the weekend. Friday on, it's Monday, but we try to get that out as fast as we can to get it in your hand. So
Excellent.
give us a try.
Excellent. Thank you, Tom.
All right, thank you, Bill.
Yep.
See ya.
Hey, Airgun Geeks family, we've got some exciting news to share with you today. We're thrilled to announce our new partnership with some of the biggest names in the outdoor world. Airgun Depot, Cabela's, and Bass Pro Shops. This partnership means that when you use our special links to shop at these stores, it won't cost you a penny more, but it directly supports the Airgun Geeks podcast. We're really proud to be working with these outdoor giants, and it's all about helping us bring you the best coverage of the airgun world. So next time you're gearing up for your next outdoor adventure, remember to use our links. You'll be supporting us and helping keep the content you love coming. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for looking at that interview with Tom. Tom is one of the few people in the U.S. that has a real live brick and mortar store and also an online presence for airgun sales. So it's a great opportunity to get really good support. And if you're in the Michigan area, it's worth a field trip to check out his shop. Now, Pat, you've got some intel on some new stuff that Tom's been working on since that interview. So fill us in real quick on what's going on there with Tom and his new offerings in the airgun space.
Yeah, so Tom was over the years, he's had a small air gun shop, and then recently, even since the Pyramid Air Cup, he's done a lot of improvements, carrying a lot more product on hand. In fact, it's a great place to just hang out now. He's got room for all of that.
Does he have coffee? That's the important thing.
Oh, of course. Yes.
Oh,
yes,
then
definitely got the coffee.
I'm there.
Yep. And he's got an outdoor range, which in 2025, it's going to be, he's all excited to do some team shooting, maybe leagues or whatever, you know, where you go try out guns. He's got demo guns. It's really well laid out because the community all through the pandemic and through these times have really rallied around him and supported him in his state and on the online presence. And of course, through our lovely podcast here, getting the word out. So he's all excited, him and his wife. The big thing is make sure you check out his website. His hours are a little different, and he's not open on Sunday or Monday. So that's a key thing. But great couple to talk to and chock full of information.
That's fantastic. So we've got our second interview.
Yes.
And this one's a little bit longer than the one with Tom. And it's longer because you just can't fit HajiMoto into a tiny package.
No,
it's not going to happen. The presence of HajiMoto is too great to even think about reducing the size of that package. It's the way it is. It was one of the most fun interviews that I've had the privilege of doing. And it's because Haji and I have a very similar sense of humor. We were able to really have fun with this interview. And there are some cameos, and it's going to be a challenge when we reconvene after that interview. I want to know in the comments below if you identified some of the more notable people in the airgun industry that actually made like brief little cameos in that video, because that's another element of it that I thought was priceless. And you know, Haji and I covered a lot of topics, and one of them is his new HajiMotos.
Oh yeah.
which is his take on what a Nodos, a Numerex Nodos can be. And
Mhm.
you know, it's a brilliant gun. You know, he's going after a custom market again, like he did with the Gauntlet.
Yep.
And I applaud his efforts. He's like, I don't want to compete with you. I'm like, Haji, I don't sell hopped up Umarex Nodos. I sell some stuff for them, but I don't. It's not my. That's not where I'm at. So don't think there's any ill feeling here. But he gave me one of his magazines, and they are exceptionally nice. And I can't honestly recommend his magazines. But you know, here we've been talking about Haji all this time, and not had his banner up, so I just fixed that for you. So Pat, I don't know that you've ever really had much time to sit and talk with Haji at length to really experience who he is. You've obviously watched his content on social media.
Correct. Yeah, he's a fast moving guy at competitions. He does interviews with people all over the place. He's a great guy to talk to. The big things about him, even back when I worked at the other gun shop that I was at for many years, is his customer service. I mean, if you get something from him and there's an issue, he will take care of you. He is a humble, genuine guy who absolutely loves air guns, loves tinkering, loves to laugh. He's a bit of a jokester too. So
Oh,
as you'll see
he
in the
is.
interview,
He's effing
um,
hysterical. He really is effing hysterical.
and I'll say, you know, don't be afraid to reach out to him, ask him questions. Even if you got a gun secondhand that he worked on, I mean, he'll definitely help you if there's an issue or what he did to it and why he did it and all that. Just a down to earth guy, and he's doing a lot in the air gun world. I will say that. But if you ever get to a competition and you hear HajiMoto's there, make sure you go meet him. You'll definitely be happy for that.
Couldn't agree more. So Pat, let's without any further ado, let's get into the HajiMoto story as it played out at RMAC. Important to note here, this interview was done at RMAC. And what I'd like to point out here, this edit was one of the most difficult, most challenging video edits I've ever done.
Yeah.
And the reason for that was Pat and I experimented when we were recording. We were trying to charge the microphone receiver while we were using it, and we found out that absolutely destroys the audio track on the camera. So I had to reconstruct and reunite the audio off the microphones, which is two separate tracks, one from Haji's mic, one from my track, and bring those back together with the original video. And I'm telling you, I pulled my hair out trying to get that right. But it fades a little bit at the end. It starts to lose sync with the video, but it literally is hours and hours of work putting that together to save that interview, and it was absolutely worth it. So let's get to that.
Well, I just want to say, Bill, thank you for your efforts and all of that, and the things that you do for the audio and video for this podcast is top shelf. Period. So appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, let's see what it's all about.
Airgun Geeks, I've got the rare opportunity to talk to the one, the only, the incomparable HajiMoto from HajiMoto Productions. Haji, tell us a little bit about you and where you came from and the wondrous creations that you bring to the airgun world.
I will do that, and I thank you very much for that illustrious introduction. I looked behind me, I thought you were talking about somebody else because it doesn't sound like me at all, sir, but you want me to go back as far as the womb, or is that a little too far back?
I was kind of hoping you would go back to like what star, where it's the matter that you came from, but you can make the call wherever you want.
Okay.
It's okay.
I'm gonna go after womb, and when I was able to actually get into the air guns and know what they were.
So that sounds like a good place. You go with that.
Let's go with that. Let's start that. So, air guns, grew up in an air gun family. So, I mean, in a firearms family. And we all owned firearms. My father, all of us as kids had firearms. But I was drawn to my grandfather's old BB gun, and it was a very old Daisy. And it took BBs, and you could buy at that time when I was a kid, it would look like a milk carton and it was chock full of BBs.
Yep.
And that meant I never had to worry about money, and I had thousands of shots at my disposal. To me, that just grabbed my attention, so I never let that up. But my brothers never let up on me, because they would say, for the what you paid for that fancy break barrel, you could have bought yourself this 22 caliber
Yeah.
firearm, long rifle.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want a long rifle. I don't have, I'm a kid. I don't have money to buy long rifle ammunition.
And who knew at that time what a visionary you would become? Because for
Yes.
a while there, 22 ammo became unobtainium, or you were going to pay a lot of money for
Agreed.
it.
Agreed.
So, keep going.
But remember, though, I said when I was a kid, so I would agree with you if I was
I mean, we're still using stone wheels. I get it.
Yes, exactly. So back when we did it, you could buy a brick of 22 caliber rounds for
Yeah.
probably less
I
than
agree.
$20. But that's not the point. Was even as a young kid, you
Sure.
don't have $20.
Yep.
You can only ask mom and dad for money for so often before you just no. Slow down what you're shooting. What are you doing? So I'm an airgun fan at this point, and nobody could break that. So that's how my passion for airguns started as a young guy, young kid, 9, 10 years old, all the way through. Never stopped with airguns. I'm a firearm shooter. I own firearms,
Sure.
but airguns have always been a part of my life. That tinkering, how can I make this better? How does this thing work? That was my childhood. So that's when the mechanical engineer of me was trying to rip through my skin to get out. And
If there was a Dilbert thesaurus, it would have the knack.
yes,
The knack would be what us engineers are afflicted with.
correct.
And it is the desire to take everything apart, understand what makes it work. And it sounds like Haji had the knack pretty strong.
He had it had the desire to know,
Right.
but didn't have the skill set to fix it or do more with it. So it was evolutionary.
Takes a little while.
Absolutely.
That,
So
I get it.
we had, when I was a kid, they had a thing called an erector set. That's still sold to this day, but it was a much different erector set when I was a
They
kid.
were so much better then.
There were metal parts, metal screws, sheet metal pieces that if you weren't careful, you could make something capable of cutting your finger off.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's when I was making everything. I was making all kinds. That's when the click happened. So now we've got the air gun and we've got the birth of mechanical engineering. Where the HajiMoto comes from is when I was a kid, there was a cartoon series known as Johnny Quest. And those that are looking at video right now can see there's a fairly decent pigmentation here. So if I get in the sun long enough, I can get pretty dark. And my father owned a plumbing and heating company, so
But does that mean you're part chameleon?
correct.
Is that what you said?
Absolutely. I can
Okay.
blend into pretty much anything
All right.
except for anything beyond the shade of cream color. Can't get
Okay.
that. I can't get that
Okay.
like
All
it.
right. Got it.
But I can get the other stuff. So the chameleon gene that I have meant that when I was out, I'd get really dark, and we would work on a job site for my father, and it'd get hot. So you would take a cotton t-shirt, you plunge it in a bucket of water, you put it on your head, and then you put your hard hat on that so it keeps you cool.
Yeah.
Well, one of the foremen saw me, and at this time I may be 15 years old, saw me with the wet t-shirt on my head. And he says, "Hey, Haji, how's Johnny Quest?" And I look at him and I go, "Don't call me Haji from Johnny Quest." He goes, "How's it going?" All the guys heard that. My locker had Haji on it. All of my shirts had Sharpie marker in permanent marker. Haji, toolboxes, tool bags, Haji. The more I said don't, the more they did.
There is a theory that I have that the more another male genuinely is comfortable and appreciates you, the more they will make that nickname stick.
Agreed.
You will not run away from it.
Agreed.
So
And that's a
it
true fact.
becomes a badge of honor after a while.
It does. And
And I
that,
lived it. I went through it myself, but
what was yours?
I'm not going to say
Okay.
because then it'll become public knowledge. And my sister will absolutely she will dominate me if I were to.
So she doesn't know it.
Oh, she does.
Oh,
And
okay.
she tries to tell everyone, and I try to still sequester that information from the public eye. So it's got more attention than most things in the NSA and CIA domains. We're not going there, Haji.
We're not going there. We're not going there.
I share just about everything.
I appreciate
I got to
that.
draw the
I
line there.
appreciate that. I do.
But I do love the HajiMoto story. That is freaking
Well,
amazing.
that's the Haji.
Yeah.
So now I got the Haji. At this point,
So at
I'm
this
not
point,
getting
you
away
just,
from it.
just Haji.
I adopt it. I'm not getting away from it.
Right.
That's it. Everybody calls me Haj. Haj is it. Haji. Okay. Now I go into RC cars. Radio controlled cars. I'm racing cars. One of the guys comes up to me. He says, HajiMoto Racing.
Oh boy.
Motocross. HajiMoto? That kind of sounds cool. The next day, in those days, the body was clear polycarbonate. You had to paint it from the inside so you didn't scratch your paint.
I love those.
Paint job looked amazing,
Yeah.
right? Because it's got the
Even if
thick
we were
paint.
idiots and didn't know how to paint.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It looked the best. So it took some practice. I had to write HajiMoto backwards because you've got to write it backwards. So I put HajiMoto on the back of the car from the inside and painted the whole car up. So when we got on the starting line, I put it down. The guy that said that saw it. And then everybody that was my friends saw it. They go, HajiMoto! There it is. Couldn't be more organic.
Now, you've got a rather stout character
Very much so.
in your HajiMoto
I do.
productions. Is that what HajiMoto looked like in the past, or is that HajiMoto's goal for the future?
That is HajiMoto in the past's ego, who
Okay.
went to the gym and thought that's what he was going to look like.
Okay. All right.
And the
So it's a
person,
digital avatar.
absolutely,
Okay.
I never attained that letter, like that symmetry. I never attained that level of mass ever. But when you ask somebody who is an artist who does caricatures,
Oh yeah.
they exaggerate. And so when I asked a cousin of mine, could he do one? That's what I ended up with. I said, okay. Self-gratification, call it ego, whatever you want. I said, I'll go with it.
You know, we all carry a mental avatar
Yes.
of who we are, and it doesn't have to be real, or it can be where we are mentally. So I believe that Haji has that kind of power upstairs.
Wow.
So it's okay.
That is one of us, my friend.
Yeah.
That's one of us that thinks that way. I appreciate
Yeah.
it. Just like my cousin exaggerated the image,
Yeah.
I think you exaggerate
Well,
the
that's
potential.
what I do with words. So I just
So the images never have been attained. I wish it did. But if you've ever been to a carnival or a fair and they have those folks that do caricatures, and if someone has a slight overbite, you can believe when they're done, they're looking like a giraffe or something.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that was done.
I hear you.
I'm already self-conscious about the
By the way, for those that couldn't see that was Justin Jacobs breaking into our routine here and stealing our thunder. The guy is a genuine jokester.
Oh my God, that's an understatement. So I made the comment about the overbite, and he turned and says, "Hey, I'm right here."
And right here, guys. Leave me alone.
Yeah. So that's it. That's it. And you know what I get a lot, Bill, is I'll get folks when they meet me for the first time. There's a two-sided distance between their expectations. I mean, one side is if they've never watched my videos, they have no idea what I look like. So they say the name HajiMoto, I'm expecting to meet somebody of Asian descent. I thought it was Japanese. And so I thought you're not Japanese. I said, no, I'm not. The HajiMoto certainly sounds it, but no, I'm not. The other thing is, you don't look anything like your avatar. That is correct. And that's pretty much going to be the end of your disappointment, hopefully.
Right.
And then we move on from there. So it's very common, very common. So it doesn't surprise me that's where you started, because it always does. It always does.
So HajiMoto
Yep.
was an engineer
Yes, sir.
as an adult.
Yep.
what kind of things did you engineer in your previous life?
The engineering would go into, because my father owned a plumbing and heating company, that meant mechanical engineering went towards the hydronic systems, the chill water systems in a residential capacity, which then evolved
So you were
into
moving heat, you were
transferring air, and we're handling getting
Yeah.
the structures or office buildings, whatever it may be, properly. When I was doing in early stages, efficiency was never something that was even thought about. It was trying to get
We got all
it
the
done.
energy in the world.
It's endless. It's endless.
Burn it all.
It's endless.
Yeah.
And so that then evolved into working for a large mechanical engineering firm that does mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire protection for very big projects. So it wasn't just me. We're a team attacking these projects, the infrastructure, some of the systems, coming up with those designs, implementing those designs, and getting those buildings up and operational, from continuing education campuses to the hospital industry, typically. And that's where my career went, right through there. And that's where I lived. But air gunning was always, when I got off work,
Is that heartbeat? And
that's my go in the shop and let's see if I can't do this. Let me do this. And now the forums come around and everyone shares in our industry. I found this. Bill will say, you know what? I found that too. I also found this. Ah, interesting. And we share. So I started to share a lot. And I found that I have a knack for I have a decent knack for communication and being able to edit video, sound, and be able to put it together for folks that if they couldn't want to read a white page on something, at least I could give them a video to watch. So I started making videos with a voiceover saying what I did, how I did it, so they could follow along and do it for themselves. It was never to solicit me to do it. That transcended to some folks have more time than money, and some folks have more money than time. So the people that had more money than time would reach out to me and say, I really don't want to get involved with it. What would you charge to do that for me? So that starts to progress, starts taking more of my time. So my wife and I had a discussion of, I'm going to just put some capital into this. We're going to put a little water on it
stir it around.
and let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And if I have to put more water on it, I'm done. It's literally just going to take if it happens, it happens. And it exploded. So what I was doing, what I was sharing, the ideas that I had come up with, modifications, enhancements, they could be machining parts. Now you start getting into additive manufacturing. So you're able to prototype in hours of what you used to have to wait months to get something from. So you're prototyping in hours, proof of concept, you're running it through his channels, it works. Now you take that and now you just keep rolling it out, keep rolling it out. So that just kept snowballing and it grew and grew and grew. And so this is where it took on a life of its own. I did not solicit it. This is important. I didn't go out saying, I'm going to change the world and I'm going to, no, it wasn't that at all. It was friends helping friends and other folks that didn't want to attack it saying, let me pay you for your contribution to the airgun community. And at the same time, I get that.
It sounds like it was a pretty organic path.
Very much so.
And have you ever read Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance?
No.
I'm going to go ahead and recommend that to you here
Okay.
on the podcast.
All right.
It actually has nothing to do with motorcycle maintenance.
Nothing.
That is kind of a theme that runs through it in a very weak way.
Yes.
What this book is more about is philosophy, number one. It's a great introduction to philosophy in general and gives a really great explanation, because the guy who is the author was actually a professor of philosophy.
Okay.
So he weaves that in there in a brilliant way. Not preachy, it's just, he looks at things and says, if you were from the Buddhist camp, you might believe this, or it's just an interesting way to look at philosophy through his eyes.
Absolutely.
But where I'm going with this is he identified people who were more romantic in their notions about machines
Yes.
versus people who were absolutely not that way. The guy who might have a cordless drill in his garage, but the battery's never been on the charger.
Right.
Versus the guy who's on his third set of batteries for his drill.
And his drill motor
And
probably
you-
failed 4 times because he's using it like,
Right.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he
yeah.
uses it all the time, but he's comfortable in that world.
right.
I myself get a lot of customers that are like, hey, you know what? I don't trust myself
Right.
to perform that work
Exactly.
on an electrical device safely. So would you be interested in doing that for me? And as much as I try to resist, sometimes I can't turn that down.
Yeah.
But I hear what you're saying.
Yes.
But those people, it's not necessarily purely a financial
Right.
decision. It's very much a, you know what? I don't want to mess with this. I don't want to learn.
Correct.
I don't want to get the tools to do that. Do it for me. So
And if I can, I want to take that and make I want to just go to the side of that conversation.
yeah,
There's folks that will come to me and throw money at it and say, I want this, do it. And that's instantly a no from me. I'm very busy, and I'm not saying that trying to make myself be bigger than I am or anything like that. I'm very busy, and I will resist because I didn't
HajiMoto's
have the
got
time.
people.
I got peeps. I
Yeah,
got peeps. And so I would resist, but it was when you just said you would finally give in, 90% of the time I'm willing to bet it was because you wanted that friend to achieve what they wanted. You had the means to make it happen, and it had nothing to do with money.
yeah,
It had to do with, I have the ability to make that happen for them. And so what I was going to do over there, it'll wait another day. I'm going to help that person. Right?
yeah.
And the appreciation and gratitude you got from that person was what it was all about.
Yep.
That is exactly the way it happens. And that's why to this day, if you go on the forums, if someone asks a question, my advice is never my product is the way to go. It's not that ever. If they ask me about my product, can it do that? I give an honest answer.
Sure.
But I don't say that's not the way it works. Look at what the person wrote, what they had to deal with. What is the easiest path for them to achieve the goal? Not sales pitching and overselling them and laying into them on why you're wasting your money. And that drives me up a wall. Help the person, give them information, and just do it for the right reason, and which is why I'm here right now. It's why I'm here. It's why I get the privilege to talk to you right now. Be
Yep.
here. I want to elevate the sport. I'm trying to get people off the sidelines who are intimidated about coming to these events and meeting folks and hold one, shoot one. You've never shot one? Look, you get to try it today. You know, do what I had my grandfather's BB gun to do. Here, try it. And they're warming up to it. But there's people in the industry, you know who they are, welcoming and to bring folks in, and it has nothing to do with commercialism or sales.
Yep.
Nothing. It simply has to do with getting more people in the game.
Sure.
That's it. And it sounds as corny as it may sound. That is exactly what's going on with me. And that's it. It's plain and simple for me. But it grew to the point where that little planting that I did and the little water I put on it, it grew beyond my expectations. And it's almost tough to manage it now. It's almost tough to manage it.
So let's kind of pivot this conversation into what are those things that are occupying Haji's amazing mind, and what he brings to the table here. What are we talking about?
I'm synonymous with most folks. If you typed in HajiMoto in Google, the gauntlet is going to come up next to my name. The Umarex gauntlet and my name are going to come up together. And that's because being the air gunner, knowing all about CO2 and knowing all about PCPs, that was my world. Used to see folks sitting on the sidelines and not necessarily want to get involved because they were intimidated and they couldn't afford it. Well, Umarex about 5-6 years ago came out with a PCP called
You might have heard of it.
Some may say may have. It's called the Gauntlet, and it broke the $300 barrier, allowing folks to have a PCP for $300. The only thing you didn't have was a fill source, and you might know something about some of these compressors that are out there now. You may know something about that, but these compressors then came behind it, making it easier. So the Gauntlet was what I started doing things for. Barrel bands, changing the baffle stack that was inside to an actual baffle stack, taking the barrel centering device that they used and making an actual air stripper inside that shroud, valve work, barrel work, trigger jobs, hammer preload adjusters, and that was just the Gauntlet. So that goes through the Gauntlet 1, the Gauntlet 2, to the Gauntlet 30 caliber. So working with all of those and also partnering with Umarex USA, meaning while I'm an independent doing this on my own, I'm freely sharing that information with not only the world, with Umarex USA, giving an engineering disposition on what I think you could do better. Take a look at these and see what you can do. So if you take the Gauntlet 1, look at what it's like, and now look at the Gauntlet 30 caliber, side lever, you will notice that every one of those upgrades, that the distance between those two, I have offered as an enhancement that can be done after the fact.
Right.
Am I better? Absolutely not. Why am I not better? Did it get better? Did the person that's new to this get to use it as better? Perfect. That's what I'm, excellent. Let's go. What's the next one? So the next one comes, Umarex comes out with this beautiful little compact, very affordably priced shooter, 22 caliber, and they call it the Notos.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful little lightweight guy. The community now.
My version 2 of the ultimate Notos build
Yes.
on YouTube is still to this day the #1 video for views on my channel. It's ridiculous. I never would have thought that it would have done that.
That organic explosion is exactly the organic explosion with my Gauntlet. So I can relate. That's exactly how it happened. It just exploded from that. Like as if you taught how to turn water to wine.
Yep.
It just got out of control. I had, again, it was
Can you,
not.
by the way?
I know I've read where someone could.
Okay.
I read about
All right.
it, but we can
Because I
try
wouldn't
that.
be surprised if HajiMoto told me that was in his wheelhouse, but
I don't think he's ever said that, sir.
Okay.
I don't even think he's alluded to that ever. So the Notos came out, and I started looking at a lot of folks wanting to mod. So I'm not saying I created the mod industry. I didn't, but I brought it to more people than what was happening behind the scenes. The garage get together groups of folks that would get together and share ideas was now put into the public arena, and folks go on a forum and learn from that. So that means it blew up. Everyone could do this now. It's no longer that little group in the back who did have issue, by the way. I'll tell you now. Why are you sharing that? Why are you telling people that? I did not have fans in
giving away
that
the
group.
keys to the kingdom, Haji.
I'm the magician that showed the trick.
Right.
That was
And
I
the
was.
guild was out to
Oh, the guild wasn't happy.
pitchforks and hot tar and everything. Yeah.
They weren't happy with me.
No.
They weren't happy with me. You're giving it away. Correct. Elevate the sport, please. So I did. But I still also offered those for the folks that didn't want to get involved and wanted it done, or if they wanted a turnkey solution. The whole thing comes to you done. So the industry starts doing this. You see folks, again, this is important. This was being done before me. Let's say the Benjamin Marauder. Before me. There was an entire group before that. The QB series. Before me.
The original crosswind guns. Oh my
Exactly.
God. And we used to buy a $40 blister pack pistol at the hardware store and then spend $700 in months making it shoot almost as good as it did when we started.
That's so funny. Is that so true?
Oh,
Trying to cock it with the plunger and the triggers.
Haji, I've got a wall in my office where my normal Airgun Geek studio is. there is a wall of Crossman custom builds.
Oh God.
Yeah.
All those shoes as good as they did originally. That's so true.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah.
And so go back even to that, right? So I am not trying to say I created something, but I'm saying you were a very special niche closed group. It was in this, there was a key and there was a gatekeeper. But when it hit the way it hit with social media, it became more accessible for folks. And so folks was doing that with the no-toes probably before it even left SHOT Show. There were already ideas coming out. Everyone saw the potential. You could start seeing now. Umarex, hopefully you don't get mad at me for saying this, but they don't see it for what you created and presented. They seen it for what they could make it or what it could be. And so they had a palette and folks started painting. I started painting too. But if you and I
And lo unto them, the prophet HajiMoto bestowed the wisdom upon the masses, and the HajiMoto Notos was born.
in my brain, what I wanted to do had an exact simultaneous evolution as it was happening in the industry.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to me. I got so busy that me in the forums, if you look back during the last 2 years, it's been pretty quiet for me. I've been extremely busy. So I look at this and I say, I scratch and I come up with some ideas. Lo and behold, when I get to the end, I find folks such as yourself have pretty much done what I'm getting ready to do. So I reach out to folks like you and I say, listen, I'm about to do something. I want to make sure that it's understood. I'm not swooping in and trying to steal your thunder. I just want to do this and I'm putting it together and I'm going to call it the HajiMotos because it's my sprinkle on the idea,
Yeah.
which is not, if you make bread and the recipe of bread includes some basic ingredients that makes bread, someone came up with bread, not you. I did not come up with bread. I came up with a different type of bread and it's my type of bread and that's it. But that's the HajiMotos what its features. It's going to have a carbon fiber bottle. It's going to have an AR style chassis with an AR grip on it. It's going to have a collapsible stock as well as a folding stock on it. Trigger's going to be upgraded. The barrel is going to be ported and polished. That end wart is no longer going to be on there. There's going to be a threaded fork on the end for half 20, so you can screw on a suppressor of your choice if you'd like. And it's going to be offered in whatever you want. If you just want A piece, B piece, C piece, all of them together, whatever you want. And the HajiMotos also is going to be coming with a very exclusive offering that the HajiMotos magazine here that I'm presenting to Bill currently.
Shiny.
And it takes the Notos from a 7-shot rotary magazine design to an 11-shot rotary magazine. And this is printed in additive manufacturing, okay? And we're using, and what you're holding there is a PETG material that's used for that.
So you're going to get more stability thermally.
Correct.
Yep.
And this loads from the right, not from the left. On the Notos, they load in from the left. These are designed to come in from the right. And the only reason is the limitations of the way that the Notos is made to try to get something to come in from the right. There was no way to stop it. If you look at a Notos, they use a magazine and a magnet, and the magnet keeps it centered.
Yep.
So in my design, it has a slot that keeps it, even the stock magazine has a slot horizontally to keep it from rotating. So when you slide it in, I took advantage of that and put a stop on the back of it so that once it reaches full depth, it's done. But the part about this magazine that makes it unique is there's neodymium magnets that are holding that lid on. So you're not no longer feeding through a little opening and going one at a time. You simply pull the lid off and you're able to drop your rounds right in. And let's say you only want to put in 2 rounds. You just literally go 1, 2, put the lid on. You just put in 2. You don't have to fill the whole mag. You only put in what you need.
So it does make it much easier to rotate the magazine center with the cover off. So you're going to do that. You're going to just start loading.
And that's the only way you load it. You don't load it with the
as many
cover.
as you want.
Or as many as you want. Exactly, correct. And then the magic part is, let's take this lid,
I love your spring tension too, because that feels really good.
leaving this on the table, just introduce this close to the lid.
That's awesome.
You wouldn't do that with it loaded because they dump out. But the point is, the neodymiums are so strong.
But you know what, Hodge? You could have actually had a laugh there, because you could have set me up. You could have said, "Hey, Bill, put some pellets in here, and then show me how." And I would have exploded. And I would have said, "Haji, you jerk." Further evidence that the male of our species does not really mature much beyond 14 years old.
That is a true. I agree. I accept them.
I get it.
I wear it.
get
I honor it.
No, I love your bag, Haji. You're saying you're presenting this to me like you're not going to tackle me when I walk away with it.
I'm leaving that in your hands.
Well,
my
thank
friend.
you very much.
That is for
Thank
you
you.
to.
Thank you.
That is for you to use. Put
Yeah.
it through its paces.
Yeah.
Try it out. See how it works. And on most additive manufacturing parts like these, they have to be introduced and removed at least 20, 30 times so that they
Yeah.
break into the tolerances of your build.
Yep.
And while, yes, these come off the rifle, or the PCP mag is the upper of the aluminum block, that upper, while it's machined on a line and they all theoretically should be the same. The tolerance of that
The
horizontal
reality
block,
of modern manufacturing at this price point does not
at the
support
rate
that
in which they
hypothesis.
come through that CNC,
Yeah.
agreed.
Yeah.
They don't. It just does
Yeah.
not. So with these, they're made at about 10 thousandths over on purpose,
Yeah.
so that you're fitting to yours. And in all the magazines that I offer on my website, I say this, and it's not to generate sales. It's because if you broke this into your Notos and your buddy has a Notos and wants to use it, tell him to get his own or her own. Because theirs tolerances may be tighter and they're going to shave yours down and it's going to be sloppy in yours when you go back.
Right.
Use it in yours. And the same thing with the magazines, from an Avenger to a Gauntlet to a Crossman. Yes, they all fit. But when you go through all three rifles, now it's fitting one of them horribly.
Yeah. So Haji's advice is get your own.
Get your own.
Get your own.
At HajiMotoProductions.com.
Nicely done. Nicely done. So have you ever seen my Notos do that?
No.
I have a absolutely silly product that came into my head one day, and I thought, every time I go somewhere and I have a gun that has a fill port that uses a probe, I will usually end up at that place with either magazines not there, the probe not there. If I want to shoot single shot tray, I can almost guarantee you the tray won't be with me. So I created this little block that
Okay.
mounts on that gorgeous, great big unused Picatinny rail on the top of the Notos.
Yes.
And if you put it back by the scope, people think, oh, it's going to block the scope. No, it's not in focus there.
Right.
It doesn't take away from the scope at all,
Okay.
but it gives you magnetically retained magazines. I make them for the stock Notos magazines,
Yes.
but I try to tell people get as far away as possible from those.
Yes. Yes.
But I also sell it for the maple,
Okay.
and I can also offer it Haji style.
I'm not sure you'd be able to, only because I don't have any capability at the bottom for the magnetic interface on mine.
It's
because theirs
okay.
is on the bottom.
I've already got a way around that.
Already.
That I've explored.
And
Yes.
and I'm the guy that has wizardry. I'm the one that's being anointed by all these flattering statements. And in all the time of development, you've just seemed to reduce it down to a couple seconds, and you've already got a way to have it work in your, okay.
The only reason
Yes.
that is not some deep philosophical thought power on my part. I've already solved this for a different gun that
Yep.
doesn't have magnets. And it's a very simple solution,
Okay.
but it leverages commercial hardware that's already out. So I'm not
Okay.
inventing anything. I'm just
Okay.
like you do. I'm just kind of bringing some things together that work pretty cool and solve a problem,
I can
right?
appreciate that.
And that's really what engineering is all about.
Agreed.
So it's not about, just creating something from nothing. Sometimes it's just putting stuff together in a cool way and bringing that to the party.
And not barricading it off and trying to
Right.
protect it and hide it from
Right.
everyone. It's like that day is done.
Now, I don't give up my model for free for that part because there's a lot of secondary finish work that I do that I have tooling to
Yeah.
do it.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
I like that, you know, because you know with 3D printing, you're going to get layers, right?
Yeah.
Unless you have an ungodly amount of money and time for real good commercial 3D printers, it's tough to get that interior finish of a bore perfect.
Agreed.
So I print it undersized, and then I
Yeah.
ream it to size,
It's the way to
and
do
I
it.
get a fantastic finish.
Yes.
And then I coat each one with a silicone grease. Just put a little on my probe.
Yep.
I wear out the O-rings on my probe,
I'm taking notes, by the way.
lubing everybody's part. But you know, to me it was a problem that I experienced and I lived, and I'm like, no, I want all this stuff on the gun. I want 2 mags,
Yeah.
a probe, and the single shot tray all in one place. And that was the Notos doodad.
I'm appreciating the no toes doodad, and I'm going to have a no toes doodad.
You will.
I will.
And you're
I'm
going
gonna
to
get
have
one
one
from you.
that accepts Haji magazines as well as whatever else
Would be awesome. I
Yeah.
appreciate that
Yeah.
greatly.
Yeah, very good.
And so that no toes conversation is this,
Yeah,
and that was yours, obviously, to use.
thank you very
I
much.
think I'd like to get your feedback on it. I'd like to see you use it. I'd like to see what you think about it. The downside. to
Haji,
this-
ask any of my ex-wives. I have tons of feedback.
And if there's, well, we won't go into the financial exchange, so I'll stay away from that. But on the magazine, the one downside from that you'll find is if you're running an optic, it's a non-issue.
Right.
But if you're a person that wants the fiber optic fixed sights, you want to keep this thing
Oh, yeah.
as simple as possible.
Yeah.
This magazine's profile is so high that it's going to block your rear sight. You won't see it. So if you have an optic, no problem. But if you wanted to use those fixed sights, it's going to block it.
Haji,
Yes.
I got to tell you, my observation on Notos owners that order from me,
Yes.
90% of them are between 45 and 70-year-old males in the United States.
Okay.
Most of us no longer possess the range of focus required to effectively use open sights. There are some rare cases. I know there's some hardcore Marines out there that are like, how dare you challenge my ability to use open sights?
I've met them.
These old eyes, Haji, they like red dots and they like glass.
When you're not going to have a problem. So it's going to, but the nice part is this does not modify the rifle in any way that keeps you from using your original magazine.
No,
So
they
if
take care of
folks-
that themselves.
They are pretty, they have an issue. Yeah, they do. They wear out.
Yeah.
You can buy a replacement magazine for $14.
I
So
hear you.
it's very reasonable
I
from
hear you.
them, as where this is a $30 replacement, but the ability to have more shots and to have the convenience of the lid
Mhm.
is worth it. It's worth, in my opinion, it's worth it. And to parlay on your point about additive manufacturing, these are produced on a Voron or on a Bamboo XP1.
Mhm.
So if anyone's out there thinking you're going to be able to create that with a Creality $200 printer, you can. It'll kind of look like it, but and the model, same thing. It's a poor marketing strategy to give away what you're actively selling, and it undermines the person who bought it from you to see that you gave it free to someone else. So if it's for sale, there's no model given. I never have, I never will. So if it's no longer for sale, I'll give it away for free. But if it's actively for sale, I've never given a model away, and I've had folks beg me in third world countries. I can't get it from you. They won't ship it, whatever. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. And especially a third world country, because I'll be buying my own magazine back.
I have, I think, close to 300 models
Yes.
on printables.com.
Wow.
And
No, you've always been huge in that. I remember that years ago. I mean,
most of them are not anything that I ever intended to monetize.
yeah.
It was, hey, I solved this problem with this.
Correct.
And when I went, because when you sign up for printables.com, you always get what's new, you know, all the
Absolutely.
models that have been released. And I'm like, well, not everybody needs a Pikachu cat cross
Right.
model. Forgive me.
I do.
It's
I needed one. I did. I'll be honest. I'm glad I found it.
it's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for tools, boxes, things like that, things that are cool that
Arduino cases.
yes, yeah.
yeah.
I actually have several Arduino cases and ESP32.
Doesn't surprise me, sir.
Yeah, ESP32
Yeah,
cases
yeah.
out there too. Yeah.
And it is Arduino. I don't know what I said. I think I said Adino or something. The heat is incredible right now. It's probably about 94 degrees.
Yeah.
It's really hot, and I may say things that aren't necessarily true.
That's what I'm banking
Like I'm
on.
handsome.
I'm banking for Haji to
Something.
get a little hallucinogenic here on me. Not as bad as Matt Dauber did before he got taken out of here. I feel bad for the guy because he damn near collapsed. He got really ill. I think it was the heat that got to him
Yes,
because he just turned in the best performance here today
he
in
won.
pro class precision rifles.
Yes,
So
sir.
kudos to him and Matt. We really hope that you're seeing this and that
Yeah.
you're healed up and that Frederick is taking good care of you. But our hearts are with you, and we want to know that you're well. So do let us know. But it's probably going to happen to Haji and I. We're probably going to start mumbling like idiots and then collapse.
I've been
and then-
doing that up till now, so
Yeah.
I think I'll just shiver.
You know, the EMT guy's a friend of mine. I might be able
Is
to.
he?
I might be able to get us a really good IV for cheap.
I have a suspicion that you will be treated first, though. He's your friend, so if you could.
Well, I would share an IV with my buddy. Buddy
Okay.
Haji.
Okay.
I
Then
would
you,
definitely.
thank you.
I would definitely do that.
And so that you know, when we were talking, I watched Mr. Matt Dubber walk in slowly, and he passed us. So he is here.
He's back.
He's back. So-
Thank God.
Exactly.
Excellent.
He looked
Excellent
a little
eyes.
weary.
Thank you.
He looked
Haji, I
weary.
rely on you for what's really going on.
Well, if you didn't have to monitor all of that behind the
Yeah.
camera, you guys can't see this, but there's about 47 micro switches, transfer switches, 4 different types of lithium battery cases. There's a PV panel that's bringing in power to this.
Yeah.
He's monitoring. It is 14 meters on the left over here. Or
And
your right.
7 dancing girls on top of it.
Now, this is where the hallucinogen part, this is where we're having the hallucinations. There is no dancing girls.
Oh, come on,
There's-
Haji.
Okay.
You're,
EMT?
you're harshing my mellow, man.
EMT?
Haji, thank you so much
Oh, it's always
for
a
being
pleasure,
on the
man. I
Airgun
appreciate you, man. I really
appreciate
do.
it.
Thank you.
Hello, fans. We're taking a brief moment to recognize and show our appreciation for the incredible support of our sponsors. Their commitment not only fuels our content, but also ensures we can bring you the very best of the airgun world. Firstly, a huge shout out to Southern Precision Air Weapons. Ken is a master of hard-hitting airgun tunes that deliver unrivaled accuracy. Moving on, we extend our gratitude to High Pressure Pneumatics. Be sure to check out what Tom has going on at his store in Michigan and online as well. Let's not forget the remarkable contribution of DonnyFL. Their innovations in suppressors have revolutionized the experience in the field, combining stealth with performance. A special thanks to GX Compressors as well for their robust and efficient compressors that are an absolute game changer in the pneumatic technology and convenience. Be sure to check out Scout Airguns for the Epic and the all-new Evo. JSB and Predator International for the finest in airgun projectiles. Affordable, well-made, and fun airgun products from Umarex Airguns. And lastly, we express our sincere appreciation for Sabre Tactical. Their tactical gear is not only about strength and durability, it's about taking your airgun experience to the next level. We proudly stand alongside these titans of the airgun industry and invite you, our valued listeners, to explore their outstanding offerings. Supporting our sponsors is directly supporting the Airgun Geeks, enabling us to continue delivering you the content you love and trust. Thank you for being the most essential part of our journey. Your engagement and support make all of this possible. Until next time, stay tuned and keep supporting those who make the Airgun Geeks a reality.
All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that fantastic interview with Haji and getting to know him a little better. Bill, that was some good cameos that happened in there. It definitely made me laugh.
Yeah, the one that really got me was Justin kind of playing off something that we said, and just, you know, it added an element of personality to the interview that I thought was very unique. You know, maybe in a previous life I might have cut that out, but I'm like, no, I'm leaving that right where it is. That gives it a little more charm. But yeah, it was so delightful to catch up with a guy like Haji and have a meaningful dialogue with him. And do check out HajiMoto Productions. The link is on the screen right now, and you can check that out. And do support your Airgun Geeks. You know, there are lots of ways to do that, most of which involve using our links. Using our links when you shop at Bass Pro or Cabela's or Airgun Depot. Pat will have those in the show notes for the listeners of the podcast. I will have them in the descriptions wherever you consume the video content. And yeah, it's a great way to support the Airgun Geeks and show us that you listen and you approve.
Correct. And if you have anything that you want us to talk about, you can email us at the airgungeeks@gmail.com.
Yep.
Topics. Hey, we like this. We'd like to hear about this, so forth and so on. Don't be afraid to do that. Also,
Absolutely.
if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please give us 5 stars. We greatly appreciate it, and it works the algorithm to get it out to more people and lets Apple know we're doing a good job.
And speaking of algorithms, do let this video play. I mean, it really, we battle YouTube every day. Pat and I join the fight every day. YouTube tries to squash outdoor content, anything that even can be esoterically linked to guns in America gets squashed by YouTube. So by you guys helping us, by you guys making sure that you can let this episode play in the background, just get it the view time. That's what helps us win against YouTube. And it's a fight that we have to do all the time. Even if I've noticed this recently, if I put up our ad, Pat, for Cabela's or Bass Pro, they immediately demonetize those videos because they construe that as being not advertiser friendly for their super liberal point of view on these topics. And it's no matter how much you try to explain that we are an airgun podcast, we're not talking about going out and buying firearms, although I fully support that activity.
Definitely.
It drives me crazy that this liberal hive mind has gotten so embedded in the tech sector of our country. And, the only way we can fight back is with your help. We need you to help us share the content, to like the content, leave your comments, get involved, help us move this ball forward. It's the only way we're going to win. We need that support from all of our listeners and viewers.
Yep. And for the month of December, you're going to see an episode come out every week. So make sure, yes, end of the year holiday specials. And there will be a holiday special podcast at the just before Christmas. So make sure you stick it for that one. But
we'll have to scout around for a guest for that, Pat.
Yeah, I'll go Skywalker Luke maybe with his.
Oh,
it'll be an
there's
epic
there's some
conversation.
references there. We're not going to tell you what it is, but we'll see how many people can piece it together and put it in the comments below and tell us who our next guest is going to be or who our Christmas special guest is going to be.
Correct. And we thank you always for taking your time to listen to the Airgun Geeks podcast, listening to Bill and I, and we enjoy every moment of doing this. So like always, stay geeky.